Hey, welcome to the third hour of our program. On the line with us is Barbara McQuade, the MSNBC legal analyst you've all seen on TV, professor at the University of Michigan Law School, former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Back in 2010 to 2017, she was appointed by President Obama. First woman to serve in that position, in fact. BarbaraMcQuade.squarespace.com is her website. Barbara McQuade on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And she has a new book out, The Attack from Within. Barbara, welcome to the program, and thanks so much for joining us. Give us an overview of the book.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be with you. Well, the book talks about disinformation. I was a national security prosecutor and now professor who teaches national security law. And I have seen the threat to American national security evolve from Al-Qaeda to ISIS to disinformation. And, you know, at one time, this was something we worried about coming from outside our borders, from Russia. And now I see disinformation as something we're facing from within. You know, just today, I saw online images of Donald Trump posing with African Americans that is reported to be artificial intelligence designed to influence black voters into thinking that there are many people who are supporting Donald Trump who share their affinity. And so we have not just the ability to dupe people into believing things that are not true, but we are also seeing, I think, people choosing tribe over truth and saying things they know are not true just because they fit their own narrative or political goals.
Yeah, in fact, I saw those pictures this morning, and I believe in one of them, one of the black people only had 3 fingers or something. Sometimes those are the tells that they're generated by artificial intelligence. To what extent is disinformation that's being spread right now tied to one political party? I mean, are the Democrats, are there Democratic politicians and Democratic influencers who are using lies and disinformation as aggressively as Republicans, or is this actually a partisan problem?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know to what extent it's being done by everybody, but what I see is the leader of all of this is Donald Trump and the far right part of the Republican Party. There are certainly, many people who are moderate Republicans who are following the rules. I'm not aware, but, this is a tool that can be used by anybody to fool people. But I think the thing that is most dangerous is not just that we might fall for these things, artificial intelligence or lies or false claims, but there are people who, for example, know that the 2020 election was not stolen, but are willing to go along with the con because it advances their position. For example, Representative Elise Stefanik refers to people who are jailed for their role in the January 6th attack as hostages.
Right. I
know she knows better, but she's willing to advance that narrative for political gain. And so what is at least visible is that it is, members of the far right who are using these tools of disinformation, these strategies of disinformation to try to obtain political advantage.
There's a long history here, Barb. The Russian Tsar in the early years of the 20th century had his intelligence service produce this Protocols of the Elders of Zion that became the basis of this wild international Jewish conspiracy theory that then Hitler used in his climb to power and then later used as an excuse for the extermination of an entire group of people in Germany and surrounding countries. How do we combat that?
Yeah, and you're right. My book talks about the history, and although the delivery mechanisms have changed of how disinformation gets out to us, through social media and cable television and other ways, it's really the tactics that are the same that we've seen for throughout history by authoritarians. And so how do we get out from under it? Well, I think that a place to start is by insisting on truth. I think that there are people on the right and the left who are willing to feel like the ends justify the means and to make arguments that they think advance the cause without looking to the details. And the details matter. There is this tactic that I talk about in the book called the all or nothing fallacy, which is this idea that there are only 2 sides to every issue. There are only 2 opinions, 2 candidates, 2 views on policies. And then to so demonize the other side and to scapegoat them and to call them evil, they want to eat your children. that you present your side as the only tenable choice for, good, patriotic people who love our country. And so that division means that we demand political purity, and there's no room for compromise and no room for nuance. And if we want to get anything done in this country and advance society, we need to recognize that sometimes our team is wrong on issues, or our team has flaws, and maybe the best way to achieve something is through compromise.
But what do you do when you have actual elected officials promoting the idea that Democrats are torturing children to extract their blood to get the adrenochrome to get high off it? And I mean, this is actually a widespread belief. And it's been promoted and continues to be. Mike Flynn is traveling the country right now promoting this kind of stuff. It seems like if you point it out, you're just amplifying their message.
Yeah, it's a really hard problem, I think, especially for mainstream media, because sometimes just by reporting about it, even if all they say is, this person said this ridiculous thing, people are busy and don't pay attention, and sometimes we just read the headlines and they're left with this false impression, and it gives oxygen to these negative theories. I think that we have to do a couple of things. One is, I think we have to engage in relentless fact-checking. There are some great websites for fact-checking that are out there that all of us as individuals can use. Factcheck.org. There's one called Snopes. There's another called PolitiFact, where we can get accurate facts and not somebody's spin about facts. And I think we have to get out and talk to real people in the real world. There's a lot of nonsense online, and when we're all in our own little information bubbles, sometimes that's all we see, and you can't rebut things that you don't see. Right. But in the real world, we can talk to people, and so I think that's the place in the workplace, in our places of faith, in our children's sports teams. Those are the places where we can meet real people and talk across difference.
So Vladimir Putin has this Internet Research Agency, the IRA, in St. Petersburg, with over 600 people sitting there just 24/7 cranking out BS social media, pretending to be Americans, and largely embraced, it seems, by Musk on X and tolerated by Zuckerberg on Facebook. And they played a huge role in the 2016 election. I mean, we know this. Robert Mueller identified it and, in fact, indicted, 30 some odd of them, 20 some odd of them. Are you suggesting, legislation or some Finland, for example, another one? Finland has now started in their elementary schools, critical thinking skills and internet literacy programs. But when a country is under attack, I published a piece this morning about how in the years leading up to World War II, from 39 to 42, in a big way, Nazi Germany was pumping disinformation into the United States through Americans and through people who were pretending to be Americans. It was obviously they didn't have the internet, but they had a huge reach. It seems like calling it out isn't enough. It seems like when you tell Republicans, "Oh yeah, that's a meme that came from Putin," they shrug their shoulders and say, "Yeah, we don't care. It helps us."
Yeah, so that's the part I think that is so damaging, is that people are willing to choose tribe over truth. Yeah. As long as it satisfies my narrative, I don't care. But, think about the consequences of that. Russia is not in favor of, Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Russia is in favor of Russia. And so destabilizing democracy is in their best interest. They are seeking to sow division, look for all the cracks in society, whether it's in immigration or gay rights or immunization or whatever the issue is, guns. We're just going to stoke division on both sides of this issue by ramping stuff up. And, people take the bait and they end up arguing with Russians or bots that they don't know. So I think the solutions come from two places. One is I do think that there are things we can do ourselves through media literacy, through recognizing fakes online, for looking for second sources of information. So the media literacy they're doing in Finland is great, and I think we need to do some of those things. I also think that all of us need to avoid taking the bait and saying things that we know are not true just because we believe it advances our team's interests. But also, we, the people, need to get together collectively and put in some meaningful regulation on social media to help us recognize these fakes.
Makes perfect sense. Barbara McQuade, the book is The Attack from Within, How Disinformation is Sabotaging America. Available anywhere fine books are. Barb, thanks so much for dropping by.
Thank you, Tom.
Great talking with you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
We'll be back with more of the news of the day and your calls in just a moment. Stay tuned.